Welcome to the Cultivation Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Hamill, and this is Season 6. Unbelievable that we're at Season 6. We've got a huge international audience now. UK listeners, we love you, so appreciate you and your support out there. We all over the country, all over the world, rather. So anyway, Season 6, all about self-care. We have to take some time to take care of ourselves, and we have to be very intentional about that. You've heard me make this statement before. We're never going to accidentally be successful, and we have to be super intentional about how we're growing, how we're leading ourselves. And so this season, Season 6, is all about taking care of ourselves. Now, as we get into that, I know that this seems like a crazy topic in that isn't the world so self-centered anyways? And while it may seem like that, many times we actually neglect ourselves, our self-talk, our self-care. All of those things actually suffer because we're trying to chase after some version of success or some version of financial stability or notoriety, those kinds of things. And we actually end up neglecting ourselves even in the pursuit of trying to grow ourselves. So, as you're journeying with us, this season is going to be really, really powerful. So I want to make sure you hit the subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're part of every one of these episodes. Really powerful stuff. But today I want to talk to you about taking care of our psychological self, our mindset, because so many of the obstacles that we face and need to overcome happens in our minds, right? And I don't want to say that they're imaginations or that they're made up, but the battle is in our mind. And so taking care of ourselves psychologically, mentally, that's super, super important so that we can stay on the road towards growth, on the road towards development. Because as soon as we start feeling overwhelmed, boom, we throw in the towel. We quit. We give up. We abort the mission. We abort the task. We give up on the growth track that we're currently on, and we want to stay moving forward. We want to stay progressing and really becoming that person that we want to become, right? So again, what does it mean to be psychologically taking care of ourselves? Well, it means going to a place or going to a zone where we can get clear-headed, clear-minded, and we're able to intellectually engage or stay engaged in those areas, those key areas of our life, whether that's professionally, relationally, wherever that's at. We have to be able to go to a spot where we can clear our minds so that we can come back refreshed. And let me just tell you, how do we do that? I'm all about application, practical steps. Number one, straight off the bat, and you're probably going to get tired of me saying this in Season 6 because you're going to hear me say it over and over and over again, because particularly here in the U.S., that's where this show is hosted and comes from. That's where I live, is the United States. We don't get enough rest. We are overworked, overwhelmed, overrunning. We're chasing after so many things that we're trying to achieve. And listen, I'm coming to you from personal experience. Achiever is like number one on my strengths finder list. Achiever is I'm driven. I have a driven personality. People ask me all the time, how do you do it? How do you do it all? And where I'm the most guilty is in my rest. But we need downtime. It's so important. And there's so many scientific things that happen that we know happens to our brain specifically during rest time. When you sleep, you may not know this, and I'm sorry to nerd out on you, but when you sleep, literally what sleep is doing to your brain is the same thing that brushing your teeth does to your teeth. Right? So you scrub, you brush, you do all these things, you floss to remove the plaque from your teeth. Sleeping literally releases a chemical in your brain, in your mind, that removes the plaque from your brain. That's what it does. Don't ask me how, because I'm not a doctor, but I've just done some reading and research, and I nerd out on that kind of stuff. And so it's super important that you understand that to take care of yourself, psychologically, you need rest. Everybody say rest right now, right? You need rest. It's so important. It is the greatest thing you can do to your mindset. There's other things, but again, you're going to get tired of hearing me say this because it is medicine to your mind. Rest. If you're sleepless, if you have terrible sleep, if you're restless, I would say eventually it's going to affect your mindset. It's going to affect your attitude. It's going to affect your appetite. It's going to affect so many things of your body. And so again, how do you take care of yourself psychologically? Sleep. You need the proper amount of rest. Number 2, you need to keep a gratitude journal. There's a lot of negativity in this world. There's a lot of things that don't go according to plan. There's a lot of things that get all messed up, whether that's your schedule or I once went on a trip just recently. I went on a trip and, when you're getting out of town and you're going on a trip, you have all these things that are set up in your mind and set up on your agenda. And man, nothing was going according to plan. Right? And so, man, you start focusing on things not coming through, that job interview, that finances, that tax return, that gift, that party, right? All kinds of things don't necessarily go according to how we have them mapped out in our mind. And so how do we take care of ourselves psychologically? We need to keep a gratitude journal. Now, you need to write out, not just think about, but literally write them out, things that you are grateful for. And if you make this a rhythm, a routine in your life, then when you're having a bad moment, when you're having a stressful moment, when you're having a high intense or a high mental capacity moment, you will have something to look back on and reflect on. So this is a reflective gratitude journal where you can write it out. And I want to challenge you. This is a challenge to me too, because I'm just trying to be transparent. Let's be real. Let's be honest. I don't do great at journaling. I just don't. But the truth of the matter is it's a powerful tool to take care of your mindset and to take care of yourself psychologically. It just changes everything. It literally changes the chemistry and the makeup of your mind when you start looking back at gratitude and things that you're grateful for. And so I would say, get a gratitude journal. It can be as fancy, as artsy and artistic as you want, or as simple and recycled paper and whatever it is that you need. But it's just a matter of, it could be digital if you want and you just need to type it out, but be as detailed as possible. I was thankful for that sunrise. I was thankful for that cool breeze. I was thankful for, again, there are so much in our life that we have to be grateful for, but many times that gets overshadowed when things don't go according to plan, when things aren't lining up the way we had foreseen, or they're not on our timeline, right? How many would say, things don't happen on my timeline? That is so true. It's true for me as a husband. It's true for me as a dad. It's true for me as an employee. It's true for me as a boss. It's true for me as a podcast host and an author. I mean, literally every area of my life, nothing goes on my timeline because I want it right now. I want it boom, boom, boom. Here we go. But again, our mindset is we got to come back to, what are we grateful for? What do we have, right? The old saying, count your blessings. What do we have that we can just be thankful for even right now in this moment? I'm sure something's coming to mind, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening through an audio stream. By the way, Amazon Music, Amazon Prime happens to be our number one streamer, so kudos to you that are listening on Amazon. Appreciate you very much. But again, what is it that as I'm expressing that gratitude of like, hey, nothing is happening according to my timeline. Again, that gratitude journal is so important that we have that, because it gives us some things to go back to, be thankful for, and put us back into that right mindset when we're having a difficult day. And we all have difficult days. And if you're having a difficult day right now, let me just tell you, you're not alone. Every single one of us have a difficult day, but you're here, you're listening, you're watching, you're getting through, and we're here to talk about how can you take care of yourself mentally and psychologically. I'm excited to announce to you today the launch of a new curriculum that we're doing as a follow-up to my book, The Life You're Meant to Lead. It's 12 weeks on stepping into your purpose and how to take action steps and applications to leading yourself. We cover a lot of topics about dreaming, having the right mindset, surrounding yourself with the right people, lots of things. How do you get to it? You can go to our website, ourcultivatedlives.com, or click in the description of my bio below. The next one that I just kind of put down in my notes, I have just off camera right here, I have a cheat sheet. So if you think I've been memorizing this, no, I'm not that good. I have a cheat sheet. So if I look over, you know what I'm looking at there. But super important, but something that we don't always talk about or is a little taboo, that sort of thing. But seek outside help, right? And I love friends and family. I love people that you can meet for coffee and talk things through. That's super important. But at some point, based off of where you're at, you need to really take an inventory as to what level of outside help you have or you seek after. So what is the levels of outside help? Because again, this is all about self-care, taking care of yourself psychologically, mentally, and engaging and being really intentional about becoming the person that you're meant to be. That's that cultivated journey, that cultivated life. So you can have friends and family, right? Some close confidants, right? Some mature people who have been around the block a time or two in some areas that you're dealing with. I do that often when it comes to marriage. People have been married. My wife and I, Jamie, she'll be a part of this season. This is episode 1, so you haven't gotten to it yet. But when you get there, we've been married 22 years at the time of this recording. And so I talk to people who've been married 35, 40 years. We're coming up on a new season of our life where our daughter's going off to college. The next one's about to start driving, right? That sort of thing. We're entering into a really strange season that we have not experienced before. So we just ask people who've already gone through it, what does that look like? And we have couples that we're like, hey, #goals, right? We look to them, they're friends, they're confidants. We ask for advice, help, that sort of thing. But that's one level. They're not professionals. They're not pros. They're seasoned. That's important. That's a level, right? And then you can ramp it up to the next level, like who's been trained. Maybe it's a pastor. Maybe it's a professional, right? And you seek those people who have dealt a lot with areas, again, where you're seeking help or needing help or issues that you're dealing with. And then there is that paid professional. And let me just tell you a couple of things about going to a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, right? Lots of professionals out there. One, Michael Jordan has won 6 NBA championships. And there's a lot of questions about Michael Jordan versus LeBron James and who's the greatest of all time, who's the GOAT, right? All that kind of stuff. And I'm not here to argue any of that. I'm not even a huge basketball fan until it gets to either the all-star slam dunk or free throw contest or three-point contest, right? That's when I care about it. Or when it's NBA Finals. That's the only time I even care about it. So that's the level of my fandom or fanship when it comes to that. But here's what I know. Michael Jordan had a coach. He was the number 1 greatest basketball player of all time, right? He holds all kinds of records, blah, blah, blah. But he had a coach. So if Michael Jordan, who's the number 1 at his game, still has a Phil Jackson coach in his life, I would say me, who's not number 1 in anything in my life, can have a coach. That's how I view, that's my perception and perspective of going to see a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, that sort of thing, is that, hey, I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to better myself. I'm trying to take care of myself mentally. And so I'm going to get professional help because I'm not number 1 at that yet. Well, now, once you get number 1, maybe you don't need those skills. Maybe you don't need those tools. But again, you look at the greatest tennis players, greatest golf players, greatest swimmers. We're coming up on the Olympics here internationally, right? That's where we're at. All of those prime athletes of the world have a coach. Here's the thing. I'm trying to better myself in an area of my life. I need a coach. So I would say go see a counselor. And this is so important to, again, living that cultivated life. Don't wait till it's broken. Go in for a tune-up, so to speak, right? Just go in and go, hey, help me. Give me some tools of how to overcome these things and how to deal with and how to manage, right? There's a lot being thrown at us in this world. And so if you have access, and don't let money hold you back. Just know that that's an investment into yourself, right? Okay, that's my soapbox option for that, and that's where we're at. Next thing I have here, make sure you find a non-work hobby. I got a lot of work associates and people that I know that work in my field, my industry, and they don't even have a hobby outside of their field of work. And you can't be on all the time. We're not built to be on. Remember what I talked about at the beginning of the episode about getting rest? That's not just sleep. Like, we have to have downtime. And one of the things that helps us have downtime is a hobby. Now, if you don't feel well rested after your hobby, and I know a lot of people that would say golf is their hobby, but then they're breaking golf clubs on the golf course and they're using foul language and they're doing all kinds of things because it's not actually providing rest for them or downtime or unplug time, right? So find a hobby that is some unplug time. Now, for me, some of you have heard me talk about this. I actually like video games. Video games help me unplug, and sometimes those video games aren't restful. I'm very intense as I'm trying to break through this squad and blah, 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 that sort of thing. But it's really cool, the interaction and the social, blah, blah, blah. The thing about a hobby is that you got to make sure you got to set healthy boundaries with your hobbies, that A, they're not consuming too much of your time because then it's counterproductive, and B, it's not consuming too much of your money, and then C, it's not breaking you away from other key relationships. And we're going to talk about relationships in another episode this season, but it's super important as I'm talking about having a hobby that you get what I'm saying and you don't pick up what I'm not saying. It's not consuming too much of your time. It's not consuming too much of your money, and it's not consuming or taking away from key relationships in your life, because then it's an unhealthy, it leads to addiction rather than a hobby, whatever that is. And if it's golf, great, no problem. I'm not hating on the golf game at all. I don't play golf because I can't, not because I don't like it. But again, the thing is, find a hobby. Maybe it's woodworking and you work out in the shop, right? Maybe it's a mechanic and working on a car, or some kind of a project, and you're an artist and you're painting or sculpting or something like that just helps really give you that hobby, relaxing time. And what's even better is if you can create a hobby that builds community and relationships. It's really, really important. Part of what I'm talking about, and again, coming from the U.S., we're guilty of this. I'm guilty of this, but you've got to have that unplugged time from your text notifications. Look, I'm even wearing my Apple Watch right now, and I literally just got a text while filming this. I'm not checking it, don't worry, but the point of the issue is that you've got to turn off the emails. You got to turn off the text messages. You got to unplug. You got to have some downtime. You got to have some quiet time. Super, super important that you understand that, because we have all these interruptions in our brain. We're literally retraining our brain for a shorter attention span because we let all these interruptions come in. And so psychological self-care is, hey, I'm going to intentionally time block and unplug from the distractions and the interruptions. And I know, he's like, well, what about? Yeah. Listen, part of the cultivation journey, living the cultivated life, is showing up as your best self, the best version of yourself, becoming the best version of yourself. And I can't give from an empty well. I can't give from an empty source. I can't give the best focus, the best mindset. I can't give the best actions and attention to those things if I'm allowing all of these interruptions to be firing off in my mind. And so it's super important that you understand self-care so that you can give a better version of yourself is not being selfish. And it does mean you've got to unplug from the interruptions, right? Turn off the text message. I actually set a bedtime alarm where my phone, my watch, everything just shuts off, and I'm like, hey, it's downtime. It's uninterrupted, unplugged time, usually spent specifically with Jamie, my wife, right? And so all those things are turned off. They're set aside. No more interruptions. Because one, I don't want to train my brain. I want to retrain and rewire my brain to not be so short-minded or short attention span. And two, I know that my mind just needs the rest time. It needs the down time. I would say make time for relaxation. Super important. Buy a hammock. I don't know what that looks like for you. If it's the beach, if it's the ocean, if it's hiking, and you need to get out in nature, right? Blah, blah, blah. Make sure you're scheduling relaxation time. You know, there's an old principle called the Sabbath. It's a time, it's a day of rest and relaxation. It's not just sleep. I know I talked about that at the beginning, so this might sound or feel redundant, and I don't mean sleep. Sleep is super important. You need 8 to 11 hours of sleep, depending on your body makeup and your gender and your age, all those kinds of things, right? There's lots of research. And for those parents of teenagers, it's proven teenagers actually need more sleep. Part of it is there's more activity going on in their body with their hormones all over and growing and all those kinds of things. They actually need more sleep. So don't be knocking on your teenagers if they're getting too much sleep. All you do is sleep. Yes, their body physically needs it. It's not just that they're being lazy, right? But not talking about sleep. You actually need time of relaxation. It's super, super important. Time for relaxation. Allow life to not run you, but for you to run life. So just take some time, settle down, and relax, right? My final thing, I don't even know how long I've been going, but this is my final note, so I'll be sure to wrap on time. But the deal is, you need to engage in some positive friendships. Here's the thing that is super important about relationships, friendships specifically. They have this incredible power. It's called peer pressure. We've heard about it our whole lives. Peer pressure does not have to be a bad thing. Peer pressure can actually be a great thing. And lots of studies on that when it comes to our education, when it comes to our finances, when it comes to our mindset. Our peers actually set the bar of what is expected or what is normal. And so I would say to you, psychologically take care of yourself by making sure you are around positive friends, that you're around a positive group of influencers in your life. It's so important that when you get around people with the right mindset, it becomes addictive, it becomes attractive, and you stay in the right mindset. And so I would just encourage you that if you're dealing with a lot of negativity, if you're dealing with a lot of those kinds of things, who are you hanging around? Are they bringing that with them? Are they bringing that into the conversation? Are they bringing that into your relationship? And then I would say, not just cut people off. That's not what I mean, right? Because sometimes the people that are the most negative, we cannot necessarily cut off or cut out of our life, but we can set boundaries. We can limit it. We can measure it. We can make sure that we're in control of how much time we're spending with certain individuals so that we're, again, taking care of ourselves because we're living the cultivated life. We're becoming the best version of ourselves. Hey, thanks for listening today. I want to encourage you, if you haven't picked up my book, The Life You're Meant to Lead, it's on Amazon. You can click on the link. You can go to our website, ourcultivatedlives.com. Would love for you to pick up a copy. I'd love to hear from you what you think of it. The Life You're Meant to Lead, it's a personal journey on living, awakening greatness, cultivating purpose. It's so powerful, and love for you to have that. Pick that up. Let me know about it. Also, again, shameless plug, but we have the follow-up project, a 12-week course of really taking action. It's called Step Into Purpose. Would love for you to purchase that. A powerful tool for you to have some action steps of becoming the person you're meant to be. The world is waiting for you. Hey, thanks for journeying with me today. That's this episode, Psychological Self-Care. So glad you're here. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're on all the platforms. We'd love to hear, what do you do to take care of yourself, to unplug, unwind, and make sure you refresh and rejuvenate. That's it for today. I'm your host, Tom Hamill, and this is the Cultivation Podcast. Thanks for checking out this week's episode. Be sure to hit the like button, as well as make your comments in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you and journey with you. Also, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on all the other incredible content we have coming at you.